Give me a second, guys. Okay. Do you guys hear me? Okay, cool. I haven't been able to play much this week, so it's like this is my first day actually trying to actually play a full day. I don't know if I'll do SNS Wand because of that. But I've heard a bunch about it from like some guildies who made SNS Wand, so I can answer some questions and some of the stuff that I've thought about. No worries, Kenny. One sec. I had to figure out how to use the YouTube streaming backend. I forgot. Just give me 1 minute and I'll be right back. Alright, this works. I'm just gonna do this. Okay, back. Wand Staff is still a really good healer. That's something that I've been testing a lot as well, besides Wand Longbow. Wand Staff is a really good healer. Wand Staff has probably like 4 or 5 different builds that you can play if you want to play it as a healer. Has like probably the most versatility still. Whereas like Wand Longbow healer, it's pretty cut in stone, which I also don't mind as well. But I think the difference is, I would say, is Wand Longbow is definitely the strongest pure healer. Like if you just want to play like a traditional support healer, it's definitely Wand Longbow. For like the obvious reasons, but and then like Wand Staff, it just, you can play it in many different ways, but the strongest like pure healer in terms of someone that like not necessarily heals the biggest, because the healer that will probably heal the biggest is still Wand Dagger because of the Lek Dagger and their crit increase abilities. But the thing where Wand Dagger falls short is that in terms of consistent heals and reliable consistent heals, Wand Dagger and no other healer has that. And Wand Longbow is the only healer that can provide that because of all the hots that Longbow has. They can tick a lot. But yeah, and like the hots are also incredibly strong. Like a lot of my hots tick for 2 to 3k each. And yeah, so another healer can do that. So Wand Longbow is definitely just a pure healer, which is cool. And then Wand Staff has just a lot of like there's like I came up with like 2, 3, 4 different builds for Wand Staff that I like. And there's probably a 5th one, but I don't care too much about that one. But yeah. Yeah, my hots on my Longbow can tick for 2k. I can maybe show it. One sec. I have all the right stuff on. I still have my old gear on, so like the gear that I'm wearing on my main here, like don't think about it too much because it's not gear that I would use now. After like thinking about how I would gear differently with the new patch. But I don't have time or care too much to re-gear completely in full T2 when NA is like, you know, a month or two away. I probably will do it on the Hyperboost server because I have a character that I made there today that I'm going to be playing. So I'll probably gear that the way that I would probably gear for Endgame. I can share my Endgame build as well that later on that I would probably play. 1v1s. If you're Wand Longbow 1v1, it's sort of hard or not hard. It's so I think the way I would say it is if you're Wand Longbow 1v1, it's good. It's still fine because it's not fine because of Longbow. It's fine because of Wand because the sleep bomb on Wand is still extremely strong. You can one shot with it. But in terms of Longbow DPS is not in a good spot right now. I expect that to change on Tuesday. But yeah, well, Longbow DPS is not really in a good spot. So when it comes to like 1v1s, your DPS is just the sleep combo, which is what you always did before. Or always relied on before. You can use like a knock arrow, maybe if you like use a sleep combo and someone has like a bit of health left. Like you can use a knock arrow or strafing to kill them, but the DPS is mainly from Wand. For Wand Staff, the DPS obviously comes from the staff because of how insanely strong it is now. But yeah, that's also really good 1v1. The skill in Seesaw is Curse Nightmare. Sleep. It's the version where people can get hit once and they won't wake up yet, and then the second hit is what wakes them up. What was I gonna do? Yeah. Like your ticks can go for 2k when you have your proper buffs off. Then if you add in more buffs from like some of the other abilities, you can tick much higher as well. For PVE, the PVE build I'll show you. Still figuring out what I like PVE build, but like it's fine. Like I can group up like 20 mobs and kill them. The issue is I'm just thinking if they can be faster really is the main thing. Oh, is this effects are really loud? I can do that. Effects. Do that 50%. Maybe we'll do everything at 50%. Oh, the master volume is already low. It just like bypasses it. Ametite's cool. No worries. think these are the music. We can lower the music too. I think those are fine. Okay. Thoughts on Greatsword Wand? I think as a 1v1 is probably really strong. In a ZvZ context, which are some of the more important fights, or probably the more important fights. It probably could still work. It's just interesting because, like, when I think about it in like a ZvZ context, like the bombing, the wand bombing, sleep bombing, is what would be what would make it relevant. But like, then you could do wand bombing on so many other weapons that are probably more beneficial, like wand staff, for example, in a ZvZ. That's what I would compare it to, and why I would say if like I would like it or not. Is that why do wand greatsword in a ZvZ when you can do wand staff in a ZvZ? You know what I mean? Other than like it being your preference, but. What was I doing? Oh yeah, I was gonna show how I PVE. Forgetting things here. Getting my combos. I'm gonna do this. Okay. Give me a sec. I think I'm doing something wrong. Never tested if you can spread this version of CC. Oh, you can. Okay. Wand staff would just be better in PvE because of staff for sure. It's more so what I'm doing is more so just for those, like, especially on NA when you can't actually gear up 2 weapons like that fast. Showing that wand longbow can still solo is also beneficial for folks. This is better. Yeah. The wall longbow can still solo. I hope that demonstration was better than the first attempt. But yeah, wall longbow can still solo. Fine. Just a little slower than Wand Staff, but still something you can do really well. Some of the skills are still buggy too, like especially on Longbow. Like Snipe Arrow doesn't go off sometimes, which is weird. Also, it doesn't work some of the specializations with Snipe Arrow, like the Decipher with damage is not working the way it should be, so I can't really take that, even though I wanted to try it. But yeah, I can go through some of the specializations that I'm taking. Long Wombo healing, endgame PVE, dungeons and stuff like that. You can do it because like you obviously just you wouldn't do this. This would not be a dungeon build. This is just like solo grinding, high levels content alone. You'll take a lot more of the solo target longbow skills, of course, because you're trying to kill bosses. I think for challenge climbing, I probably just do Wand Staff because I think you just want the DPS, and I don't think Longbow's in a position to DPS right now strong enough. But I think the Longbow just needs buffs to their DPS abilities to compete with pretty much every other weapon that does more right now. I think or maybe I don't know, it depends on what they want to do, because Longbow right now is definitely more of a support weapon in terms of like its strengths. And it's sort of a little bit neglected when it came to in the DPS department. So maybe they intend Longbow to be more of like a support or offhand weapon rather than a main hand weapon. So like pairing Longbow with other weapons makes it strong or relevant. Or maybe they'll change that and fix it so Longbow can be a main hand weapon like it was before. But for PvE, Staff Wand is definitely better, I would say. It's just more free. But yeah, I can show the specializations. Like this is what I run for right now for like this solo farming build. So just take these specializations if you want to screenshot and try it yourself, or tweak it to your own preference, testing. And then so I take for Longbow. But I'll go through each of the. I initially wanted to go through the PvE build, so let me go back to Castleton and I'll show you the PvE build on dummies. I think it depends on your playstyle, Ralxa. There's a lot of people who played like priests or clerics in like traditional MMOs, and that's their playstyle that they prefer. So Wand Longbow allows them to play that playstyle, whereas a Wand Staff wouldn't, because Wand Staff doesn't have those the continued reliable healing capabilities, right? That's yeah, that's a key thing there. But yeah, so this is the Longbow ZvZ build. These are the specs that I took on it. You can screenshot and try it for yourself. And I also took those. I can go through each of them and why I took them. And please ask questions if you're wondering why I took things and didn't take other things. So I can start off with the healing one. I took heal transfer and consecutive use for obvious reasons. They're just really good specs that you probably should just always take. Heal transfer obviously is really good, especially in those situations where you're getting hit and a party member is getting hit. You can heal the other person and you can still get healed yourself, which is really good. Or if you heal yourself, you get healed for even more now because it's like double healing. You can see from my amounts, it's like that's what it is. And then obviously the consecutive use for obvious reasons, of course. Mana recovery is good. I just don't have enough points for it. And I'll explain why I took other things and why, and you'll hopefully understand why I didn't have points for mana recovery. Curse Nightmare is really good. I think all healers should be mass AoE sleeping. At mass AoE sleeping, it's just so OP right now. Because AoE abilities don't wake people up, which I think is a bug. So because of that bug, everyone should be mass sleeping. So for example, you might have seen the clips where you do a mass sleep like this, and like all these people go to sleep, and then a crossbow comes in and does like the spinning moves, and no one gets woken up and everyone dies. I don't think that was intended, or maybe it was an oversight, but right now it's just really strong, so everyone should be mass sleeping. So yeah, so I took these for those obvious reasons. Instant sleep and then double sleep, and I think it's the double sleep which is what's allowing AoE abilities to not wake people up. But yeah, when it is fixed, it's still really good because then people can cast a meteor and then follow up with another AoE ability, or it just gives people time to really get a meteor off when you mass sleep, so they won't get like instantly woken up by a single attack. Karmic Haze for obvious reasons because of the range. Like you can see here, I cast it on this target, do a Karmic, and that's how huge of a range it becomes by just increasing it by 2 meters. And you can see I could take this off and it will not be as far. Just waiting for cooldowns. While I was waiting for cooldowns, invincible walls. Take this tripod so you can provide the damage shield to an AoE rather than it being on a single target. And the AoE you can see is like pretty large for me on my current gear. But you can see, without expanding Karmic Haze by those 2 meters, I can only reach these 2 people. By expanding it by 2 meters, I was able to hit every single dummy in this AoE. So that's why it's such a strong spec to take this for the mass sleep. You'll be way more effective. Fountain of Life. I took mana recovery and range. I think we're in a meta where mana recovery is like really important for everyone, and a lot of DPS would not prioritize mana recovery. So your mana recovery on your fountain would be really helpful for them. Range is also super important. You can see this is without the range. Without the range, it's just like a small circle. Like no one stands in this because it's so tiny, and people feel restricted when you have to like stand on this and trying to kite someone, right? But when you increase the range, it's a much more bigger circle and allows for people to be more flexible while they're trying to like stand in it or running around. Or if you like cast it on a tank in the front line, it gives them more room depending on where you place it to reposition themselves as they need. So yeah, it's really nice to have the range increase. And then moving into Nature's Blessing, you have Vitality and you have Cooldown, right? Cooldown's really good because it's it's each weaken on a party member that you remove reduces the cooldown by 3 seconds, right? So if you remove a weaken on 6 party members, just like for example, it's 18 seconds that you're reducing the cooldown of Nature's Blessing, right? So that's like really, really good, especially because people need mana. You need mana, your party members need mana, and the health recovery is just like a cute little bonus. But what's really good about this, because Nature's Blessing actually, I'm not sure how many people have realized this at this point, but Nature's Blessing has become probably one of your most strongest heals. And I can show you why. It's because of Vitality. So when you use Nature's Blessing on someone that has a healing touch, or someone who has Nature's Blessing already on them, it heals them by this amount. And on just reading this, it doesn't sound like interesting, but this actually can heal someone from 0 to 100. It'll heal everyone really from 0 to 100 or 0 to like really, really high amounts. So I can show you an example of that. Let me go fall off a cliff so I can show you how much like health. Like this, Nature's Blessing has become probably one of our best heals because of that new specialization. how do you stack healing touch more than one stack? You just spam it on the person. It's like you spam it, you wait for the cooldown, right? You spam it again. It's like, yeah. And with buff duration, mine's 10 seconds. You can use again. I'm ready at full stack. So you have 3 stacks now. And you can see mine ticks for 2k without any healing buffs. Yeah, let's see. It's gonna fall. 1, 2. Let's help here. Please. Okay, I almost killed myself. Uh-oh. Okay, no, I didn't. Okay. So, let's say, for example, someone's healing touch right on them. Use this. And it only heals for that amount. But you use Nature's Blessing. And look how much it's healing me for. And it's already full. So Nature's Blessing, and it's still going. So Nature's Blessing, even that was just one healing touch, right? Healing touch at 3 stacks already heals for a lot. So Nature's Blessing pretty much has become one of our strongest heals with that new specialization. So it's very reliable, and it's an AoE, so it's like one of our strongest healing abilities because of like all of that. And so, how do you easily do this or do what I just did on your whole party when everyone's getting like multiple people are getting focus? Usually, most people have like another Longbow in their party, like usually, and it'll probably be a staff Longbow right now. Some people are trying crossbow Longbow and they said they like it, but I haven't tried that or looked at it myself, or looked at it personally. But in comms, normally you'll be in comms, and someone will just say like it'll just be a coordinated, pretty much effort. So if multiple people are getting targeted, someone just calls, I use Nature's Blessing, and then you use yours, and then you can heal everyone to full. Or because Healing Touch is pretty low cooldown and it lasts 10 seconds, you can at least apply Healing Touch on 2 people, and then use Nature's Blessing to heal them to full as well. So there's some things you can do there. Do I have cooldown reduction? I have cooldown reduction. I only have 25% on just with this gear. This gear, like I said before early, this is not the gear you run now. This is gear I ran before when the meta was like allowed for this to be really good. With the current metas, I would not run this gear. It would pretty much mostly all change. Transring is also not realistic to get right now. I was lucky because I played this game during technical tests. Like I played this game when this game launched, where you can get transring from Marakai. Now transring is like an arc boss ring, so it's extremely hard to get. So this would even be in builds. Like no one should be putting a transring in their build because getting an arc boss ring, not even a weapon, but getting an arc boss transring is extremely hard. And it's going to be super expensive probably on NA and global launch. Can you do that with Flash Wave? You can't do that with Flash Wave because like you see the description of the skill, it only works with Nature's Blessing and Healing Touch. So you can only do that, what I just did, if someone else uses a Nature's Blessing, or if someone has Healing Touch. And it doesn't have to be your own, by the way, too. So let's say someone from out of your party gives someone in your party a Healing Touch. Like as long as they have these buffs on them, Nature's Blessing or Healing Touch, when you use yours with this specialization, it will heal them to full. Oh, these are the passives that I run. Alright, so you have Devotion and Emptiness, Saint's Oath, Noble Revival, and Selfless Soul being your main healing buffing passives, right? And then you have Distorted Sanctuary, which is your main defensive passive. You have Devoted Shield, which is probably your best defensive passive. It's so OP right now because everything's like a weekend and it procs so much. So you have a 3000 health shield that has no cooldown and it just continues to pop and you like just don't die. It's so hard to kill a wand Longbow, and it's mainly because of this passive right here. And I don't know if they'll nerf it, but it's like so impossible to kill a wand Longbow because it just continues to proc over and over again. Where you don't even have to heal. You just, like the Devoted Shield just does all the work. And then you have Earth's Blessing, which is really good for increasing your hot healing and just your health regen. But like, just obviously you take it for the health recovery that bonus. And then you have Rapid Fire Stance because there's nothing else you can really put in this last slot. But I take it mainly because when it's just 2 seconds, so like it applies to just like a bunch of things. It applies like when you use your casting tornado, when you're casting clay salvation, um, mainly those two really. But you will at least proc this attack speed. So like it'll speed up your clay salvation attack animation. Or sorry, you'll get it after you cast Clay's salvation. So you'll have it for a bit, and then you'll also get it for tornado. So if you use tornado first and then you use Clay Salvation will have a faster attack speed. But yeah, besides that, there's not really much you can put in this last slot. So I just put this here, just so things can hit, especially for a tornado, because I want the tornado CC to hit and people not to evade it. So like 100 extra hit is pretty nice for that. The only reason I don't use full of corruption, because you don't really weaken much with this build. You don't have a lot of weakens that you apply to people. You don't have any at all, actually. So full of corruption is not really useful for this build, unfortunately. And sleep is a curse as well. It's not a weaken. For the builds that I'm talking about, yeah, I'll put the builds on Questlog, and I'll share that. I'll probably share the I can pull up the builds as well. Let me do that. I'll pull up the builds. Just give me a second. I'm just gonna pull it up on screen. Okay. I do this. Do you guys see the build? Let me do a different screen. Okay, I'm back. Cool. Okay, so I was talking to myself the whole time. Okay. I don't even remember what I said when I was talking. Hey, Marinos, thank you. So for 1v1s, here, I'll quickly go over 1v1s and I'll go back to the build. But yeah, so for 1v1s, all wand builds can 1v1, and that is because of the sleep bomb, the sleep bomb combo. The sleep bomb combo is still extremely strong. It can still one-shot people if you do it correctly or take the correct specializations. And when I say one-shot, it can one-shot someone with 16 to 18k health. You can still do that with the sleep bomb combo. So the wand alone is all you need to 1v1. The other weapons that you have are just when I think when I move the window, I think if I move the window that I'm using to show my browser on OBS, it crashes OBS, which sucks because all I was trying to do was make it bigger. But I'm back. Am I back? Do you guys hear me? Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't know if you heard what I said earlier, but I think what's crashing is when I move the browser in OBS. I'll just try, like, whenever I try to make it bigger, it crashes OBS. So I'm not gonna move it. I'm just gonna keep it like this. So I hope you guys can see it. But yeah, I can fix that later. I probably just, yeah, I didn't I didn't set up a browser scene for OBS, so the link is not public. The link is private. So I'm just showing you guys this right now. But I can go through it. So let me zoom in. Does this work if I zoom in? Does it zoom in for you guys or just zooms in for me? Oh, it does zoom in for you guys. Cool. So I'll zoom in so it's easier to see. This should work. Okay. Yes, this is what I would run on a Wand Longbow healer for T2 endgame. For the gear sets before this, I still haven't like sat down and actually figured that out. I just like skipped right ahead to endgame and see what I would change. No way it's out again. Are you sure it's out again? Okay, you guys are making me paranoid. Okay, it's not out. Okay. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna continue then. If it's not out, let me actually just keep this open somewhere so I can see the stream is. Okay, it's not out. Okay. Okay. All right. So this is what I would do for weapon mastery. So I'd run this. You run the top node or the top to full because of the cooldown speed. So you get you get the 8% cooldown speed, which is really good. But what's more important is the wisdom. This is going to be really helpful, so you can hit the stat breakpoints that you want. So you want the wisdom. Here. Or sorry, this doesn't actually matter, but you're really just taking this top row for the cooldown now. And then you take it up to the third here for the melee defense, attack speed, and the magic crit. And then you take the bottom row for mana regen and then mana cost efficiency. And you're going to need this bottom row. I do the bottom row first before you do the middle row. The middle row should be last because you really need this mana stuff here. It's going to be really helpful for you. Like, so just so you guys know, Wand Longbow probably is the most mana hungry build in this game. So that's why you need a lot of mana. So like right now in game, I don't have 851 mana. I just have that in a town. I wish I had 851 mana. I have right now 458 mana, right? When I use a mana pot, I have 533 mana. 533 mana is not barely, it's like, it's not enough. It's not enough mana to sustain me in a very intense fight, like a very back and forth fight, which would probably be like Siege, for example, or Tax Card Delivery, or even a Rift or Boonstone. Like, so that mana is not enough. What is a good amount of mana from Tess is having around 600 plus mana. So for this build, you can see at base, or sorry, having like close to 700 mana is what's really what you need to not go So having 622 mana is perfect because then when I use the mana regeneration pot, right, that gives me 75 mana. So I'm at 697 mana. And then also with the which is more important here. Also with the Longbow Mastery, I'm over 700 mana. So it's really important that you have around 600 mana base in order to actually play this build and not go out of mana constantly. Because if you don't, you just will not be, you'll go out of mana so fast and you'll feel so useless because you just have no mana and you're not regenerating it quick enough. So this is what you would do for Wand. Something to remember, guys, if you don't know, your masteries only apply to the weapon they belong to. So all these masteries right here will only apply to Wand. Wand abilities only. No matter if my wand is out or not, it could be behind my back, it could be in my main hand. These masteries will only apply to Wand no matter what. These bow masteries, same thing. The Longbow masteries only apply to Longbow no matter what. So what that means is the weapon that you keep out should be the weapon that gives you the most defensive properties, right? It's not yeah, so you only one weapon in mastery will affect you, and it's either when you're using the skill. So when you're using the skill from a weapon that's on your back, those masteries will activate to apply to whatever skill you're using for that weapon, right? So let's say the wand is in my back, right? And I use a heal. When I use a heal, these are the only masteries that will apply to benefit the heal. These longbow masteries will never apply to benefit the heal, right? So that's an easy way to remember it. So what that means though is the weapon that you should keep out in your main hand should be the weapon that gives you the best defensive properties, right? And that in this case is a longbow. Because the longbow gives you max health, it gives you magic defense, um, it gives you movement speed, and it also gives you where's the other things? Is it skill damage resistance, and then you also get the mana regen right here, the first node. And then the cooldown speed 4% is like a little cute amount of cooldown speed. So this is why you keep longbow out no matter what the entire time, because you need these defensive stats just to benefit you in PvP. So whenever you're hit randomly, whenever you are jumped, these stats rely on them to always be as well. So it's just helpful. Or I guess the perception doesn't really matter because I changed the piece. Before I didn't have I think it was the ring I was missing. But yeah, so that's what you run for this. I guess now since you don't really need the perception, I just keep it anyways. It's 10 hit. Just hits like everything in this game. Just keep it. It's not really other options. You could take the movement speed if you want, but it's like so you could take the movement speed if you want, but I'm just keeping it on hit at the moment. I went robot for a second. After today. I think it's really just with OBS. I have a pretty good computer. I hope people don't think I play on a potato. I have a pretty good computer. I'm pretty sure it's just OBS. I'm gonna look at other streaming tools, um, or maybe it's something else that I just don't have set up correctly. I can ask some friends who stream. Um, but yeah, back to the build. So this is the gear I take. The reason I take this gear is you have the good amount of endurance. This is all before buffs. So you have 1,200 range endurance. You have 860 magic endurance, which are good amounts. You have good amounts of melee defenses or defenses in general. You got a good amount of hit. And then you also have 15k health. You get the mana regen, which is the most important thing here. So you can get your mana regen will be over 700 with your buffs. And then some other things to highlight here. Answer any common questions. What is a common question you would have? You run endurance. So that's why you run endurance. On one staff, there's a build for one staff where you can get 2,000 magic evasion and like range evasion. I'd run that. It would synergize really well with the. What am I doing? It would synergize really well. I didn't even have to do that. Oh, I did. But it synergizes really well with Victorious Energy, which this can also that's a 20-second buff with your buff duration. But even just those stats alone are nice to have. You use the Reaper boots just to reach the or 60 perception is the stat breakpoint that you're really aiming for. But yeah, in that slot. Yeah, and these are all just like these are builds that for the most part I think are good. There might be some pieces I might change down the line as I like relook at builds. But for now, this is like a build that I would confidently say is good to run. No, my mic's cutting out quite a bit. Is my mic cutting out? Is it good now? Is it good now? Oh, I see an error message here. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. Is it good now? Oh, my streams okay. I can see my my connection's poor on YouTube. I wonder if this is also a YouTube thing and maybe Twitch next time. I'll try streaming on Twitch because maybe that I'd have better luck there. Maybe it's just a YouTube thing. We'll see. So why don't I use Transring? So Transring drops from Bellendir Arc Boss right now. So for me to put, and tell me if I cut out, guys. If I cut out, I'm just gonna start typing. I should also probably make a Discord, but actually, this was such a good idea. But anyways, we're in a build and tell people to get it doesn't make much sense when it drops from an Arc Boss, which is something that people realistically might never get a drop from if they're not in a strong guild. Right? So that's why I don't put Transring in. Like, I wouldn't tell you guys, hey, go get a Transring. It's easy. Because it's not easy. It drops from Bellendir, which most people wouldn't be able to compete unless they're in a strong guild, right? So that's why. But it is a good ring. If you get Transring, that is your ultimate endgame game ring. And it's not something I'd say you have to get. What is this? I'll probably just delete it. Ignore the sap build. I was just testing that, but I did some other builds that I've been noticing. Yeah, I'll be adding all the builds. Like I said, like this is the first time I'm able to play this entire week for a long time. Like for the times I was able to play this week, I was just testing skill builds. So starting from today onwards, I'm gonna more things. And I'll add in all here. I'm also gonna add in stuff that don't drop from field bosses because some of these items drop from field bosses. So I'll make build versions that have more realistic sources of items and where you can get them and stuff like that. But yeah, I'll do all that from today onwards. I just didn't have time. What else? So let me get into. Let's move some stuff around. Oh yes, I can. So I took the Reaper boots because Reaper boots used to drop from an arc boss, but they were insanely strong because they gave you so many stats, right? They gave you 5 perception and 3 strength. So you pretty much just take points. Like you hit it to take 50, hit 50 strength, you get 100 60 perception to land your CC. I'm also maybe for, for Dagger Wand. I could talk about Dagger Wand and my thoughts on Dagger Wand right now. I haven't done much testing on Dagger Wand. I prioritize my testing on Wand's Longbow and Wand staff. So I didn't even get to go through the Wand staff builds that I want to share. But Wand Dagger is something that I'll like test more later in the week. But like my immediate thoughts on Wand Dagger is that I'm just reading chat. Could you post a build you use? So, I think it's this is my solo build. I have Brutal Arrow on there. So I do use it for PvE. Gonan. So the reason I didn't do Abyss Slayer boots is because I would be missing, I'm pretty sure, 1 stat point to hit 50 strength. But something I'd also know, right? These builds. Oh, I'm showing Discord. Uh-oh. Am I no longer showing Discord? Thanks, Zuki. Why is Zuki the only person who told me I was showing Discord, guys? Are you reading my messages? Let me know if Discord's not showing anymore. That was awkward. But yeah, so the reason I didn't put Abyss Slayer is because you wouldn't be able to hit the stat point for strength that I wanted. But something I'll note is with the new rune system. Just looking into the game now. Let me hide this. So with the new rune system, it gives you stats, right? You can get stats from runes, which is huge. Because what this means is you don't have to rely too much on gear to hit your stat breakpoints. So depending on how it is on NA, like that's the thing, right? Like I don't know how it's gonna be on NA at launch, like how easy it is gonna get runes. Because right now the easy way to get runes is T2 dungeons. But we don't have T2 dungeons at the start of the game. So I don't know how easy it is to get runes, and especially runes that you want. So we'll just probably have to wait. But with that said, with the runes and like the fact that you can get stat points from them, there's a lot of changes that, not a lot, but there's like a couple different swaps you can make to the gear that I even have in this build. Just if you get the runes that you need to hit the stat breakpoints. So like you can definitely run Abyss Slayer boots instead of Reaper boots, get the extra health, right? And there might be like 1 or 2 extra items that you can do that depending on the runes that you get. Or if you don't care about 50 strength, you can just run Abyss Slayer boots anyways as well. That's totally something that you could do. Up to you. Sorry. Just a lot of messages. And things that are distracting me. But let me go through some of the staff stuff. So I think some people in here still play staff, right? Hopefully. Oh yeah, with my current gear, I'm 1 short on strength because this gear is not optimized to how I would like to play. But also it's mainly because this bow is level 6. If I get this bow to level 9, I can hit the 6 strength. I just haven't done that because I haven't played much, and I also am not gonna use that bow. I'm pretty sure. I'm trying to get this bow, the T2 bow, Moonlight bow. So once I get that, I'll be fine. Yeah, Yeah, that's true. The game is overrun by staff. You're right. So I just see everyone here probably has an interest in staff, or does play it. So let me just go through some of the wand staff stuff because I haven't touched that yet, and I really want to get to that as well. So wand staff has a lot of builds, which is really cool. There's a lot of variety to the types of builds you can play. YouTube's telling me that I have an excellent connection right now, so there should be no more lag. So this is the perfect time to go through all the wand staff stuff without interruption. So the first build is the hybrid DPS build. Yeah, I don't even think I did. So this is the hybrid DPS build, which I think is really cool. Let me go back into town. Oh. So for wand staff, this is these are all ZvZ builds, by the way, guys. Some of them can be used in a 1v1, but let me just demonstrate what I would do here. So this is wand staff. The first build that I'm showing is the hybrid DPS build that I really like. The really cool thing that I want to preface before I get into this for wand staff is wand staff, or staff as a weapon by itself, has so many good, every skill on staff is good. And because that's the reality of staff, everything that I'm about to show you in terms of the skill builds I have, you can definitely swap one or two or whatever skills off based on your own preference, because every skill is good. There's no longer like these are the only skills you need to take for staff or even other builds, right? There's just so much variety, which I think everyone really wanted with this game. A lot of people hated cookie cutter builds, and now the game finally allows you to play whatever you want based on your own preference, and there's a viability in it when it comes to ZvZ and other forms of PvP, depending on how you play or want to play. And I do have a wand staff healing focus build. I'll show that as well. But let's get into the hybrid build first. So the hybrid build first, pretty self-explanatory. It'll be so you have of course, your most important thing, the mass sleep. So you sleep, AoE, everyone gets slept. There's like huge benefits with that. The hybrid DPS build, I see it more as like a selfish healer a little bit, right? So you take a little bit less supporting abilities to get more kill potential while keeping some of your key heals, right? So that's like the idea with this build. So you have the mass sleep AoE, because that's just like huge value for everyone, not just yourself, but you have some of your strongest DPS abilities as well, just to get you a lot of kills and stuff like that. And then you still keep your heals as well to keep people up. Your cooldown, you take the selfish version just for yourself, so you can get faster cooldowns. And then the inner piece, you take that for the CC immune, and then also the mana, of course. So I'll show the specializations. So for wand, it looks like this, right? The same explanation as I said before. Mana recovery range, really good. Take expand target, so you can cast it to other party members. Karma K is the spread. It's a huge difference. You need this. Double sleep, super important. And then you take these two left and right tripods for swift healing. For staff, you have Zero Bomb. You're trying to maximize your AoE DPS potential, so you can get as many assists and kills as possible. For those who really like to kill, so you have, of course, the tripod that lets you move with Fireball, the instant cast, and then the range increase, so you can spread your burn dots as far as possible. The Chain Lightning, make sure that it's always guaranteed transfer and then no reduced damage. Similar to Judgment Lightning, guaranteed transfer, no reduced damage, but you also get the guaranteed consecutive use, which is really good. And then you take High Focus, just take the increased damage, so you're just being selfish. More damage for yourself, more cooldown speed, and then movement speed is a bonus. And then Hellfire, just more hits, right? So just more DPS with this ability, and it's really good. And you take Inner Peace. The CC immune is so strong. You have to be very smart with how you use it. So if you see a Greatsword approaching you, just like casting the CC immune with Inner Peace, and like holding it can do many things. It can either make it so the Greatsword, when they jump you, they waste all their stuns on you, and then you can cancel out of it, heal yourself, and then like retaliate, or get your team to come and help you, right? So it can help you really prevent you from dying, even being silenced by the dagger, being slept, like all those things. Like if you preemptively use this ability in predicting someone's about to CC you, you can really save your life, and either kill them or get a party member to come and help you. And some people who are wondering, the skills that I took here, I focus more on AoE because it's a ZvZ build, right? When it comes to the single target abilities, like I didn't take them because like I'm just focusing more on casting AoEs, and that was just like my idea. It's just like getting as many AoE casts as possible, and you're getting a lot of AoE kills. And like I said, because staff is so versatile, like nothing is cookie cutter, nothing is set in stone. So you could, for example, take off Chain Lightning and put in Ice Spear and take the bombardment version, which a lot of people love because it's just so much damage. So you can do something like that, totally fine. So you can just that, then put Ice Spear on. You just take the bombardment and the increased damage, and that's perfectly fine because that skill is really strong. I just like I like AoE, so that's why I just didn't take this because this is a single target. But yeah, you could do like, and you have the skill as well, which is like really strong, and a lot of people love it. But yeah, there's so much you could do. So that is the hybrid DPS build. Yeah, Zuki. So like I said, like this build is more focused on damaging, right? So you don't take that just for so you can do more DPS essentially. And in a ZvZ situation, like you're in your ball, so you don't necessarily, if you have good positioning, and you have good pre-movement as well, you shouldn't have to rely on smokescreen. But with that said, there are other builds. I'll do buff bot later because that's like a new idea. But like the pure support healer, we can go into this one next. Yes, I still recommend that 10 teeny. Marinos, no. When you're already stunned, you cannot break out of it with those abilities. You have to use it. That's why you have to predict. You have to predict when you're about to be CC'd so you can cast Inner Peace. But this is the idea for the pure support wand staff healer, right? Which I really like this build. I love playing pure support characters in games. This one is pure support in the, not the healing sense, but in terms of the utility and CC sense, this is pure support. Yeah, Raid Disaster, I think it's cool. I think Raid Disaster is nice in PVE. I don't think it's the best thing in PVE, of course, but like it's a like a nice ability in PVE. For Wand Longbow more so. For Wand Staff, it's like irrelevant. But yeah, so let's go over the pure healer build. So you have the, of course, the sleep spread again, right? Oops. Wait, why didn't that cast? For some reason, it didn't cast, which is weird. But yeah, so you have the mass AoE sleep. You have your pull ability, right? So salvation chain, so you can pull people and help them in your party like you normally would. You have your smokescreen. So the way you use smokescreen, I'm going to show you this on mobs because I think it's the best way to demonstrate this ability. Just teleporting. So I'm here. I'm just going to gather these mobs. Hopefully they're mobs that follow. Or sorry, that's their melee range. Alright, so I have all these mobs. Let's imagine these are people, because people are bots, like zombies. So let's say they're chasing, or they're like, you know, in the front or whatever. You cast this, it's like it's now a range route. Now smokescreen becomes a range route, right? And it's applied, like it just lingers. You can cast it again because you have 2 uses. So now it's a range route. So that's like really, really good CC that you can provide for your ZvZ wars and raids or PvP, right? And it stacks up to 2 times. So like that's a really good skill now. And it's a route because I have Black Gil. So this is the staff you'd get in T2. This is the staff you absolutely need just so you can provide that amazing CC for your raid. So yeah, so that's smokescreen, and that's how I'd use it. Really good for chokes, especially if there's chokes wherever you're fighting. You can just root every single person. There's no limit to how many people can get rooted, and because it lingers, if people walk into it, they get rooted, and then it slows them. It's like a really good skill. You have invincible wall, which is just obvious. It's your, you know, your damage soak shield. The Fountain of Life, self-explanatory. The spread, you have your other self-explanatory abilities, and then you also have Ice Tome, right? So Ice Tome, you take the version of Ice Tome that also makes it an AoE route. So it's another ability that provides more CC value to your entire raid during PvP, right? So it's a really nice AoE as well. Let's group these mods up again, and then we're just gonna imagine that these are people, right? So you cast it, and all these people are now rooted instantly. So that's another really good ability. Hard to block, hard to counter, because people won't expect that to come, or people won't expect that, right? It's hard to expect this. So it's really good value that you apply with your roots, especially because people can be attacked while they're rooted. So people are just stuck there while ranged targets are just killing them. And then you have this ability, which is really great now. You have high focus. You can now provide it to your entire party. So that's amazing. You give your whole party cooldown speed or movement speed, or you can give your whole party victorious energy, which is 400 hit and 400 range evasion. So depending on your party, that might be really good to provide people, especially when you have this ability now in the game on Longbow, which a lot of Longbow healers will use or will have to use, which is the blind, which removes 300 hit. And for those who play this game, you know that getting 300 hit removed from you as a DPS is insanely strong, because you just start missing everything. So having sort of staff to counter that, providing their party 400 hit, is going to be really important as well, especially because the AoE for that ability is just insane. So like this AoE, look how big that AoE is, and all the people caught in this will get 300 hit removed from them, right? So that's just like insane value. So staff sort of acts as a way of countering that, which is really nice. So I'm gonna go back to that. Oops. Yeah, I think that's everything. These are the tripods. So take a screenshot of these. All my builds, I'll put in a builder as well. I just haven't done that yet. I'll make a Discord as well, so like it'll be easier to communicate with people. Let me set that up now, and then I'll actually like create my own War Friends. What do you call it? Throne and Liberty Healing? Throne and Liberty Healers. Let's call it something basic. Throne and Liberty Healers. Cool. Sure. Let's create a healer Discord, guys. So join it. I put the link in the chat. We can talk healer things there. It'll be easier just to get in contact with people too. So what was I doing? Oh yeah, so those are the tripods I take. The one thing I really like about this build, the sleep support, or the full support build for Wand Staff, is that you could take so many more specializations on your skills that I always really wanted to take, but just didn't have enough on other builds. So you could take all the cool specializations on Fountain of Life. A tank can join, of course. I'm not going to exclude anyone. But yeah, you can take all the specializations on Fountain of Life. You can take all the specializations on Swift Healing, which is really nice. So you're providing all this value to your party, and I think this is I think Wand Staff support this build is really nice. Especially you can provide mana recovery to your teammates, and we know like a lot of DPS complain about mana in PvP. Like now they have someone that someone they can rely on to give them like really nice mana recovery, especially because you Swift Heal people often. Or Fountain of Life mana recovery, just all stacks. That's great. And you can use this from 5 meters further. Like, you know how far Like my range right now in this build, the stats are wrong. But my range right now on this build is 25.7. So I have a 25.7 meter range. Heal, swift heal, and 25.7 meter range is this. Like this is how far you can heal someone now. That's insane. So yeah, I think this build is really cool, and I like it. And yeah, so let's move on to another one. This is the hybrid support. So you have the hybrid DPS, and so the hybrid DPS is more centered around DPS, right? For those really kill hungry healers. And then there's hybrid support is more centered around supporting. That's like the difference. And the difference here is that you take your support abilities here over DPS abilities. Is this Korean? I'm playing on the Korean server right now, but the global version of this game is launching in September. I think September 17. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's September 17, right, folks? Yeah, so this is the hybrid support version where you can take more support abilities, but you still have those really nice AoE DPS abilities to secure you some kills. So if you really like healing, but you also like getting some kills sometimes, this is a good build as well for Wand Staff. And what I really like about this build, I'll show you the... Has there been a good dot build for Curse Burning? There is. I was playing around with that earlier this morning. Like I said, like this is the first time I've been playing the game for long hours this entire week because I've been pretty busy. But I was playing around with the dot curse build or just a dot build this morning because I was curious. I think it could work. I need to do more tests. Like I need to do tests on actual people because I've only been testing on dummies. Like I need to. The builds I'm showing you right now are builds that I tested in like actual PvP, like Dominions or like Riftstone and Boonstone War. So that's why I feel good about sharing these builds. A cursed dot build, I would want to test a lot more before I'd say, like, you know, this is something that is also a viable build. But I think it could be. We'll see. But yeah, so most of this stuff is self-explanatory. I think one of the things I'll highlight here is Hellfire Rain. If you take the incoming heal on, it's like a really good, like, specialization. And so this ability now becomes a DPS ability and a support ability technically, because you're applying 60% healing reduction on everyone hit by your Hellfire Rain, as long as it hits, which is also insane, as you all can imagine, because 60% healing reduction just makes your heals feel like trash. And on top of that, when you take Hellfire Rain, each of the fireballs have a chance of applying the healing reduction, which I think is a really good idea, or I think is better, because if it's just a single fireball, what if this single fireball misses, and then it's like, well, now this feels less beneficial if it misses on some folks, because you know, there's only one opportunity to apply this healing reduction and you miss, so it's like gone. But if it's Hellfire Rain, there's multiple opportunities to apply the healing reduction, which I think is really, really good. And then on top of that, it's just more damage. So yeah. So yeah, Hellfire Rain, Judgment Lightning, all this self-explanatory stuff. Cooldown speed, self-explanatory. You have high focus, self-explanatory. This is self-explanatory with the immune to CC. Then you have this stuff, the normal stuff. You have the swift healing, fountain of life, and invincible wall. Right, so all this self-explanatory. If you want, I know some people like the redemptive barrier skill, right? I like it too, if I'm being honest. Hi, Isabella. I will. I just put a link to the healer Discord where I can just like share things a lot more easier with folks, and we can all just talk with each other and talk about healer stuff, because I don't think like a space like that exists. So might as well just create one. But there's a link to it. I'll set it up the Discord more later. This is just, I just created one. But I'll set it up properly after the stream. Yeah, so I was just about to get into that. So for the people who like the redemptive barrier, personally, I like it. I probably need to test it more, but I really do like the redemptive barrier. The thing is, you'll lose the pull, but I think losing the pull is fine and people can suck it up and just ask your DPS to not be too risky, or just communicate better in comms. But I think Redemptive Barrier in certain situations is a better idea than the pull. And the reason I say that is, or the reason I say certain situations, because let's say you're in a ZvZ and it's very even, not even very even. Let's say you're overwhelming the enemy. There's no point of you having a Redemptive Barrier, because most likely you're not getting hit, or you're not, getting focused. So like, what's the point of just having this if you're not being focused and you're not going to really use it? But now if you're in a situation where you are getting focused a lot, and your party members getting focused, like it's just a very intense fight and it's not in favor of your side, this can be a really strong ability, because essentially what it does is it gives you 2 health bars, right? As soon as you cast this ability, all the damage you take will start getting taken away from your mana. So you have a 12k health bar for, I think it's 9 seconds for me, or 10 seconds for me, because of my buff duration. So you have so you have like a 9k, or sorry, you have a 12k health bar for 9 seconds with good buff duration. And then you have your 15k health bar. So you have like insane amounts of health, essentially, or damage absorption. Now, I would definitely, like I said earlier in the video, this is not the gear that you would run with any of the builds that I'm sharing today. For Wand Longbow, for Wand Staff, this is not the gear you'd run. This is old gear. It's not relevant right now with this meta. But specifically, if you even play Wand Staff, there's I'd run an evasion build for Wand Staff. And also, depending on you, another set that like could be interesting to look at is the, like, if you, depending on what you play as well, like if you're really gonna hard commit to like the sleep support build, right? A set that's interesting to look at for that, so you can spam these like so often. Oopsie, craft. Is a World Tree build. And I say that because of the 4-piece effect. That's a maximum of 20% extra cooldown speed. That would be interesting, because you can actually reach a total of 150 or 140 something percent cooldown speed with high focus as well. I'm taking out that version. And with that much cooldown speed, that translates to, with the formulas, 60% cooldown reduction. So 60% cooldowns on every single one of your abilities, as you can imagine, sounds insane. And you get that for 20 seconds with high focus. So you can like imagine how much you can like spam stuff. But it might not be worth it. It was just an idea that popped in my head. Maybe it's not worth it. But the one thing I just would hesitate about running World Tree is that you have 0 range defenses. And having 0 range evasion, because for playing staff, you'd run evasion, in my opinion. Having 0 range evasion does not sound like a good idea. So, yeah. So I think World Tree might not be the way to go. But it was just an idea that popped in my head. It's gonna fix my stats. Yeah, so cloth is not wearing for that. Cloth is usually not worth wearing. When people run cloth, you should really correct them about it, because for those who play the game and know, having 0 ranged evasion, for example, against a crossbow makes 0 sense, because you're just asking to die. Or even just 0 range evasion against, even longbows, like, not that great right now. A longbow staff, like, if a longbow staff abilities, like, these abilities still hit hard. Like, they're not trash. Like, the knock arrow, strafing, those abilities still hit hard. A sniping still hits hard. If those abilities hit you with a deadly marker especially, you're just dead if you have 0 range evasion. So having no range evasion makes no sense in this game, just like having no magic evasion makes 0 sense in this game, right? Because both those weapons, staff and longbow, are extremely strong, and they're ranged weapons, so they can easily focus you in a fight without repercussions, because they attack from like 25 to 30 meter range. Evasion does work, you just have to have the proper amount of evasion. So I have a video explaining all the stats on my channel. I definitely recommend checking that out, and you can better understand how evasion hit works. Like, there's a certain amount of evasion you need to have for it to feel useful. Like, for example, if someone has 1300 hit or 1200 hit, which are like what greatswords have, and you have like 1600 or 1700 melee evasion, your melee evasion is going to feel like it's going to do nothing, because that person has so much hit. And when you put in the formula and you find out what the difference is, it's not a high percent chance of you evading at all. So that's why melee evasion is such a bad idea, because you just can't build enough. Some people run melee evasion though just to counter tanks who are like dagger SNS, or like, you know, staff SNS. So anything that doesn't have a greatsword, people try to run melee evasion to counter their abilities. I personally don't think it's worth it still compared to running range and magic really high. What was I going to say? But yeah, so that's my little tangent on gear and why I would not run any of this right now. Yeah, so that was fixed. So the fact that staff, yeah, they're like from earlier this week, I even like that video I posted of me demonstrating the Wand Longbow support healer. Like, first of all, like that video was me testing Wand Longbow skills for like 30 minutes and then recording a video just to show folks that like, oh, this is like really, really, really viable. Like it's an actual healer build. Also, like a lot of skills changed from that Wand Longbow video, as you could probably see here. It's like I took up like a couple different skills, but that video was tested against when staff was broken. So at that time, staff was not missing at all. So staff was ignoring all evasions, it was ignoring all endurances, and it was ignoring all defenses. So it was just insanely, it was just legit broken. But they fixed it. Apparently, they fixed it. I haven't confirmed it though. People were saying earlier this morning that they fixed it. I don't think they did, but I haven't tested it myself. But right now, because I haven't tested it myself or seen videos or heard anything, Wand Longbow, or sorry, staff is currently broken, like actually just broken. Not broken OP, but just like in the back end, whatever, it's just bugged. Yeah, let's get back into the build. So I already went over the support build for Wand staff, and this is what I would run. And I just demonstrated how it can be very, very, very strong. A lot of people probably like this, especially folks who just like playing full support kind of build. So this is an option besides Wand Longbow. And then I've demonstrated the hybrid build, right? The hybrid support version, so it leans more towards support abilities. And where did I take that from? Oh, uh-oh. Oh, I took it from here. No, I took it from... There we go. Sorry. And then I demonstrated the hybrid DPS build that leans more towards DPS for those people who just really like killing, but they like, you know, throwing in some heals here and there. And then this is the final build that I want to show, which is the buff bot. I think the mass sleep is the better CC right now because it's sort of broken. So it's broken in the sense that AoE at the moment is not waking up people from being slept. And that AoE, like the crossbow spinning ability, is not waking up people who are slept. So you can mass sleep 20 people, and a crossbow can go in there and use the grenade and spin, and it'll kill all 20 people instantly without them being woken up. So right now, AoE sleep is probably bugged. Or they probably an oversight, either or. It's just way too OP. Because people aren't being woken up when it comes to AoE abilities. But freeze roots are really good. But this build, that's why I love this build so much, is you're like an insane CC bot with all of this. You have the best CC abilities in the game in this one kit besides the Greatsword stun, AoE stun. You have the roots, you have the sleep, and you have these. And you have this root that can be used at range with your T2 staff. So like it's just really good. Really good stuff with this Wand staff support build if you like playing full supports. Looking at chat. What build do you think that is better for Sieges? What build do I think is better for Sieges and GVGs? Hey Godson. My favorite DPS. The builds that I would say is better for Sieges or GVGs. So I hope it's not annoying to say. I don't think there's such thing as like the best when it comes to like healer builds, especially like specifically. I think there's best in certain categories, but not the best overall, if that makes sense. So like to quickly explain that, when it comes to the best at just healing output and consistent healing and reliable healing, it's Wand Longbow, right? That's where I would place that as the best in that category. When it comes to the best in a hybrid DPS healer, it's Wand Staff, right? So that will be Wand Staff. That's the best in that category. And you have two options here. You have the one that leans more towards DPS and the option that leans more towards support. When it comes to the best like CC support character, and I guess we'll say healer, so CC support healer, it would be Wand Staff again, because you have this build and these abilities on Staff that combine perfectly with Wand to make you an insane CC bot and a really good healer. Yes, you can still get really good stats with leather and plate. But for healers right now, I think everyone should just run leather because of how insanely strong range and magic is in the game and have always been. But I think those are the things you prioritize. When it comes to melee, Greatsword is just such an OP weapon that trying to mitigate damage from a Greatsword with endurances and invasions doesn't make much sense. I have a video showing doing endurance tests against a melee character, and I can like share that video in the chat actually. But you can see that it's just not a smart. It doesn't like you cannot mitigate damage from a Greatsword. It's very dumb. But that just means that there's no point in building melee evasion or melee endurances because both those stats aren't strong against a Greatsword. You might as well build high health and high damage reduction to actually counter a Greatsword, and you can do that playing or wearing leather, which also is really good to counter ranged magic. So here is a video that I'll just share, and this is what I mean. There's you just like melee endurance is, first of all, it's an RNG stat, but you can see that when it does proc, it's a 600 damage difference. Like you'll see, I said it, but it's also an RNG's proc that you're depending on, and that only procced after 7 attempts or 7 attempts with that same ability. So after 7 attempts, it finally procced, and it was by 600. But besides that, like having no endurances and then having endurances doesn't make a difference. Much of a difference is what I wanted to show with this video. That video is unlisted and it's not public as well, so I'm just sharing it with you guys. Yeah, so let's go back to the final build that I want to show that I tested a lot with Wand Staff is the buff bot. I think this build is pretty interesting. I wouldn't say that it's like yeah, I wouldn't tell you to like, oh, go run this in a ZvZ. I haven't tested this in a ZvZ, but it's just such an interesting build to play, like a buff bot. You could do a buff bot with a Greatsword or Wand SNS too. But this is the Wand Staff buff bot build. Yeah, you just take magic and range. No, for Staff, you take Staff, you should be doing evasion. But for Wand Longbow, if you're talking about Wand Longbow, yeah, you take magic and range endurance. But yeah, so back to this. This is the buff bot build. I think it's pretty cool. I think it's pretty fun and interesting. Hey, save the world. So you have this time for punishment. You provide someone in your party. Sorry, the icons are bugged. So like just understand that it's not the correct description. But you provide 220 skill damage boost to anyone in your party. Oh, is it like... Oh, hold on. I think I have to use it and then it'll fix. Okay, there. And then it fixed. What a weird bug. It'll probably be fixed on Tuesday. So let me just wait for that to finish. So here. So you apply 220 skill damage boost. I apply that. You can see here, 20 seconds. This is a 20-second buff. The cooldown is like half of that. So I can apply this on 2 people, or I can permanently give someone 220 skill damage boost, which is nice. And then you have the salvation chain, which is like, you know, just the pull. You have your CC that you can cast at range. You can also just change it to the teleport if you want to, but I like being able to provide CC support to my party, or to my raid. You have the invisible wall, you have the mana pool, you have more CC with the ice spear. So this ice spear, that long line, also CCs people with the root. And then you have the fighting spirit, right? So for the fighting spirit, I changed this to the one that gives 92 max damage to a single target. And you can see here, it's also a 9-second or 10-second buff. So for 10 seconds, you give someone 92 max damage, which is like really, really, really good. And then I know that you can change Clay Salvation to do the damage boost, but I'm gonna tell you right now, this is really trash. It doesn't make that much of a difference with damage boost, so don't take that. Just keep the heal. The heal's better as well. So just keep the heal for what it does. And then you have the high focus, right? So the high focus, change this to the one that provides, you share it to your party, and you also give max damage boost. I would honestly even consider this just giving your party hit and evasion. Just know that it gets rid of the cooldown speed and movement speed, but providing your party like 133 hit and evasion could be really good, depending on scenario. Or you could just do this. Yeah, some people just might value this more, which I wouldn't say you're wrong at all. But yeah, so they give you like a buff bot with this build, which I think is pretty cool. So you're a buff CC bot is more accurately how I describe it. I haven't tested this in a ZvZ, but on paper it sounds pretty fun. I just haven't tested it myself in a serious fight. You might be wondering, oh no, you don't have Blessed Barrier. Isn't that bad? No, it's not true. Blessed Barrier, everyone knows who plays this game, how fast it is to kill someone in this game. And with that experience, you also know that how fast it is to kill. So if you're not a tank and you're not a healer, and you provide a DPS of that Blessed Barrier, I'm sure a lot of you experienced moments where you provided a DPS of Blessed Barrier, but they still got blown up, right? And that is simply because they're just not built tanky. They're built squishy. They're built as DPS. But when you apply Blessed Barrier in its normal form, right, to yourself as a healer or to a tank who are built to be more tankier, this does feel really good, right? So, but the idea with this is that this build is mainly just focusing on making all the DPS in your party stronger, and then focusing the shield on a certain DPS. Like maybe you have a DPS in your guild or in your party who's just really strong, really geared, really smart player. You're just making them feel super, super strong and just one-shot like everyone. Like the idea is just to boost someone, to really pocket someone with this buff. And also with enchanting time. So you give them enchanting time, and you give them fighting spirit, and you pocket them with these attack power buffs. And ideally it should be a longbow staff player or a staff dagger player. And you pocket them with these buffs so they just blow everyone up. They get like really, really like they get like around 30 to 40% increased damage, which is like really, really good with the amount of AoEs that they put out. So yeah, that's what I would do with this build. You pocket a staff player, and you provide also buffs to your party, and you provide CC, like all the CC potential from staff to your party as well to lock kills. And you have all the healing, or you have the important heals here as well. And then you have chain pull. That's the idea with this build. And also just remember that the roots, the slows are all weakens. So because of that, you're also proccing Full of Corruption for yourself a lot. So you get your mana regen, but more importantly, your max damage stuff. So your heals heal for a lot more, right? This is 120 max damage at 3 stacks. Very easy to keep up if you're using your roots to help secure kills. So you get 120 max damage that increases your heal by a lot. So I don't know if the Fighting Spirit Barrier stacks on people, Zuki, but we have confirmed that Enchanting Time does stack. I don't know if they fixed this. I don't think it's supposed to. Maybe it is. But right now, if you use Enchanting Time, or not right now, but when I tested this on Thursday, I haven't tested it since, but on Thursday when we tested this, you can use Enchanting Time. One healer can use Enchanting Time on one person, and then if another healer outside your party uses Enchanting Time on that same person, it gives them 440 skill damage boost. I don't think that's intended, so that might be fixed on Tuesday. But on Thursday when we tested that, that's what was happening. I don't know if it's happening today. Maybe they patched it with one of the recent patches, but or hotfixes, but yeah. The Guardians, you still run the same Guardian. You still run the same Guardian, which is Karmashia. Karmashia is just going to be your best friend. She is going to be your idol forever. It's just especially on staff. Like I'm not sure if you see, the Karmashia gives you a health shield that's 50% of your max mana. That is perfect on staff because staff gives you an extra 3,360 mana. So your max mana is always super high on staff. So you get a 6k health shield in this sense, or in this case. And then also on top of that, Karmashia speeds up your cooldown speed by 40%, which is just insane. So you always use Karmashia no matter if you're a Longbow or a staff healer. Right now. If you're the only changes if you're a Wand SNS healers, like Wand SNS healers, even Wand Dagger healer, you can argue, can use Alolan to provide like an AoE route when they engage or go in close, because those are the only two healer builds that would go into melee range. But yeah, everyone usually just uses Karmashia for healers. Oh, is it a whatever? Yes, the 2 damage buffs stack on the same player. So I can do it on myself right now. So I use shield on myself, and then I use Q on myself. You can see they're both active at the same time. And they're boosting my stats. And then I can use E at the same time too. All of this, as you can see, sorry, the V just ran out, but like all of it stacks. All these damage boosts stack. Yeah. I don't know if I missed anything. Or if anyone has any questions. I'll be happy to answer. I know I didn't show dungeon builds. I haven't ran a dungeon yet, so I can put those together and share what I would run. I'm sure many of you probably figured it out by now because a lot of you probably just have been playing more than I have this week. So yeah. Right now, if people are wondering what build I'm playing. Yeah, I agree with you, Gonan. I think if people are wondering what I'm playing Wand Longbow, because traditionally in MMOs I like playing cleric type classes, like full heal type classes. So that's why I like Wand Longbow. I like all the things that Wand Longbow does right now. It's like in a really good place. I played Wand Longbow when the game first launched and during technical tests. So it's always been something I loved, but when it was sort of neglected, I stopped. But I like the fact that I can go back to it now. There's just so much, I feel like so much more potential for it to be a reliable healer, and is the most reliable healer when it comes to keeping someone alive. And that's also like a really good peel, by the way, if you use that correctly. When it comes to abilities, I'd reset. The only abilities I'd say that you should reset, if you're wondering what you use Blitz on, use Blitz on... you can use Blitz on oopsie. You use it on Clay Salvation, right? For obvious reasons, it's just like a good AoE heal, and it's a dot. But what I'd also use Blitz on, not always, because it really does depend. Like if you have Longbows in your party we can coordinate this with, it's probably worth it to only use Blitz on Nature's Blessing. Oh, I accidentally just used it. But I would reset Nature's Blessing if you have Longbows in your party who you can coordinate with. Because like I showed you how Nature's Blessing can do the full health recovery. For anyone who just joined, I'll demonstrate it again, what I'm talking about. But you can use Nature's Blessing to recover your health pretty much from 0 to 100. And it just keeps on going. Like you can probably recover a total of like 18 to almost 20k health with Nature's Blessing alone. It's your strongest heal right now. Like one of your strongest heals. And there's just conditions to where it can be really beneficial. So like if you have another Longbow in your party, it's going to be the strongest heal because you can coordinate with them to get the full health bar heal on all party members. If you don't have another Longbow in your party, you can probably only do that with like 2 people, because then you'll rely on Healing Touch to proc it. Then we just lose health as much as possible. I get to 5k, then I'll jump down again so I don't accidentally kill myself. Okay, now I'm gonna fall here. Hopefully I don't die. I don't die? I died. Okay. So that didn't happen. I think I lagged. Am I lagging? You guys hear me? I think I'm lagging. Okay, so you fall without killing yourself. I want to get it really low, but it might not even be worth it. Give it a second. I think if I fall from this amount of health, we're not going to talk about it. I'm going to fall from the stairs. Not even enough health. Fall from here. I think if I fall from here, I shouldn't die. Okay, yeah, that's good. Okay, one more. You know, need more. Go up here. This should be good. Okay, so I'm gonna use Q. See, my health is regenerating by a little bit, right? Ah, this is not. Hold on, it's not good enough. I need it to be really low to really demonstrate this. I'm gonna jump up here. I swear to God. If I don't. Okay. Let me do one more jump. I'm gonna measure this properly. I think I could jump from here without dying. Okay, this is good enough. So look at my health. Look how much it's regenning. But as soon as I top Nature's Blessing, look how much more. How fast it regens, how much it regens. It's your strongest heal. And it keeps going. It's not done. And that's without any healing buffs too. So just keep that in mind. So I regen that much health that quickly and that much without any Saint's Oath, without any Selfless Soul, right? None of that was being applied. And also it's nighttime. So the Devotion Emptiness wasn't even being applied as well. So that much healing without any of these buffs that really make your heals insane. Without even Blessed Barrier's healing increase. None of that was applied. And it was only one stack of healing touch as well. So all that healing came from Nature's Blessing. So that's why I say Nature's Blessing is like your strongest heal right now. And it just has a few conditions. It's best when you have another Longbow in your party so you can coordinate it. So the way that works is like if multiple people in your party are getting hit, you call on the Longbow in your party to use Nature's Blessing, and then you use yours immediately afterwards, and everyone's being healed up, right? For those, it lasts 5 seconds as well, right? So for those 5 seconds, everyone's just like unkillable. Like their health is just getting regen so much. On top of that, you have all these other heals, so they really are truly unkillable. Because the Nature's Blessing with a K Salvation, right? With healing touches, with your flash arrow, all of that, with your shields, right? With Fountain of Life, like true people are truly unkillable. So if, like I'll make videos for this later showing combinations in PvP, but if you can combine your heals and your utility skills with Wand Longbow to really make people unkillable. An example like is one of the people in my static turnip were PvPing earlier in the week, and we were going up against him and myself against 2 staff players when it was still broken, and all their stuff were going through shields and everything like that, and endurance divisions, and also a what was it? I forgot what the other person was. I think it was just a wand staff. So it's like a wand staff and then wand daggers, 2 wand daggers, and I was able to keep turnip alive against all 3 of those people by rotating my abilities properly. So Wand Longbow is just so strong right now as a pure healer. It truly is a cleric priest in this game. Wand Longbow, you can solo level as a Wand Longbow, and you just take the Longbow DPS abilities. But your DPS, it won't be as fast as the Wand Staff is the short answer, but it's it's definitely more than possible to solo level as a wand Longbow when the game launches in NA. You just use, especially because tripods I think start at level 30, whatever. But like, you just take the you use the curses to kill the AOE curse bomb combo, the early version of it. Then you just use the Longbow to kill mobs. It also super fast to actually progress in the game now. If people didn't realize, it takes 4 hours to actually go from 0 to 50 now. And if you don't know what you're doing, it just takes 5 to 6 hours. But if you know what you're doing, it's 4 hours. If you don't know what you're doing, it's 5 to 6 hours now. So it's really, really good. All you do is the main story as well. Don't do any side quests. You only have to do main story, and you can hit 0 to 50. You can maybe throw in some resistant contract quests in there towards the end, but like, yeah. So it's really fast now as well, and you don't have to do as much killing as before. So it's mainly just, it's really a simulator of pressing F, which is the button you use to interact with NPCs. It's an F simulator. You just walk around, talk, complete main story quests, and you level up to 50. It's much easier. Boring, but easier. Just put on a show. Do you have any theories on how 12-player raids will work? By that I mean, do you think they will add party sizes above 6 or just have 2 parties? I think they definitely will have party sizes above 6 because they mentioned that before in like a dev talk like a month or two ago. And that was a dev talk where they're talking about the those 12-player person raids. So they're gonna add party sizes that go beyond 6 unless they change how they do it, but right now, we know that they will. Do you have any theories on how... Oh, I just read that. We gonna get some legit full global builds? Yes. A guy and his guitars. I will be putting out full global builds. I just made a Discord as well. Where we can all talk with each other. Talk about healer things only. Tell your healer friends to join it as well. This will be a great Discord. I think that'll be helpful for all of us, just so we can connect on healer stuff. So yeah, join the Discord. It'll be helpful. We can share, ask questions. And yeah, I think that's everything I want to showcase today. I think. Let me know. I'll get. I'll stay. I have 2 more minutes. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. I'll answer. Yeah, I think that's all the builds I wanted to showcase today. So we went through the wand Longbow build. We went through the 4 wand staff DPS or wand staff builds, support builds, that I think are really cool and all viable. This one just needs to be tested in a ZvZ, but I think it should work really well. You're just like, especially for people who if you're someone who's in a duo, like if you have like a best friend that you play this game with or whatever, and you're always pocketing them, this build is going to be really good. And then I went through the Longbow solo PVE build. The Longbow PVE staff build, someone asked that. I will put that together and post it. Just so you know though, it's pretty simple. Like everything on staff is good for PVE. The build's pretty much going to be like the sleep bomb with the AoE staff abilities. So you can just imagine what that would look like. But I'll put that together as well and share it. But yeah, I think the game's great. Like there's so much variety when it comes to everything but wand Longbow. But like wand staff, like as you can see, there's so many ways you can play it. And the builds that I have here, there's so many skills you can still swap out based on your preference, right? So there's so much you can do. That 2k HP set is not good for healer. Never saw you talking about it. Do you mean the Wraith set? The Wraith set, I'd say no, because it's plate, and like I showed in the video and I talked about earlier, like you should be building range and magic defenses right now. If you're wand Longbow, build range and magic endurance. If you're wand staff, build range and magic evasion. The one thing I find awkward is you can't heal people outside your party. How does this work? Can't even heal people in PvP events. So yeah, this AoE heals cannot heal outside your party. You can heal people with single target abilities. So right now there's another bug in KR where if you try to heal someone who's not in your alliance, it won't let you heal them, right? It's very weird. They're going to have to fix that, but it shouldn't be like that. But yeah, you can heal people outside your party with single target abilities only. Even support skills, you can do that outside your party. Can't wait to start posting builds in Discord too. Yeah, I can post builds in Discord. For sure. My stats. So my stats on this current gear, I don't think it matters much because none of this gear that I'm wearing right now is relevant for this meta. This was old meta where this was really good. In this current meta, none of this is relevant. But I would say, like, just quickly, the stats I prioritize is endgame. So for endgame, I think everyone should have 60 perception, aim for 50 wisdom, and if you can, get 50 strength. Before you hit those endgame stats, you should at least have 30 strength, you should have 30 perception, and you should have 40 wisdom, and then put the rest of your stats into either strength if you can hit, if that extra health is helpful for you, or perception if you need that extra hit. I've also been thinking about doing wand staff build. How does this work? Can't even heal people. Oh, I just read that. Oh, sorry. I've also been thinking about doing wand staff build, using few skills from the staff, maybe only the fireball, dodge, and try to focus all the rest in healing curses at viable. So you're talking about, I think, Guilherme, you're talking about a curse dot build. That is something